Hey guys, and welcome to my pitch for Cardcraft, a simplified deck builder that sees the player selecting cards to play and earning currencies based on their selections. I'm making this game for GameJam Plus 2526, and the theme that I've selected is small scope, big fun. There are so many great deck building games out there, but they run the risk of getting complex fast. Cardcraft aims to boil down mechanics in this genre to the essentials, while staying true to core mechanics that make it so much fun in the first place. Deck building contains an element of strategy. You start out with a preset deck of cards and have to choose carefully which cards you would like to add to your deck. But deck building also contains an element of chance. It doesn't help when your deck contains cards that synergize perfectly, you don't draw them together in the same hand. It is this blend of strategy and chance that has led to the success of games like Balatro and Dominion. Let's take a look at what I was able to put together in the initial phase of the game jam and discuss how I would like to continue improving the game. So the first thing that we're going to do is take a look at the anatomy of the board. This is the player's draw pile. Cards are stacked here, face down and in random order, so the player doesn't know which cards will be drawn next. At the start of the game, the draw pile will contain 10 cards. This is the player's hand. Cards are fanned out, face up, so the player can clearly see their choices for which cards to play. At the start of a turn, the player's hand will contain 5 cards. And this is the player's discard pile. Cards are stacked here, face up, so the player can see the last card that was played. Once the draw pile is empty, the discard pile will be shuffled and placed face down in the draw pile. This means that the deck will keep rotating from the draw pile to the player's hand to the discard pile, and back to the draw pile. This circular pattern will continue for as long as the player has turns remaining. Next, we'll be taking a look at the anatomy of a card. Each card has a back, which is just a solid color for now. I would like to make different designs that the player can unlock. Each card also has a front, which lists the resources that the player would gain if they played that card. Theoretically, there is no limit to the type or amount of resources that a card can grant the player. Next, we'll be taking a look at the different kinds of resources in the game. This is how many points the player needs to earn to pass the level. This number goes up every time the player plays a card containing a gem icon. This is how many turns the player has remaining and is represented by a heart icon. This number goes down at the end of a turn. The winning and losing conditions are decided by these two resources. The player needs to reach the point requirement before running out of turns. This is how many coins the player currently has in their wallet. This number goes up every time the player plays a card containing a coin icon. This number goes down when the player reaches the shop and decides to buy new cards for their deck. Then we have some useful resources that allow the player to do more during their turn. The lightning bolt icon refers to how many cards the player can play from their hand before the turn is over. The card icon will bring additional cards from the draw pile into the player's hand. The bin icon will discard cards from the player's hand into the discard pile. Now, unfortunately I only had time to implement the board, so a lot of functionality is still missing, but I believe that I have a solid concept that can be developed into a well-rounded game. I would like to implement different levels with increasing point requirements, victory and defeat screens to indicate whether the player has reached the point requirement before running out of turns, a shop in which the player can spend their hard-earned coins to expand their deck with unique cards, improved visuals like for the board and the back of the cards, music and sound effects, and much more. I hope that you enjoyed this pitch for Cardcraft and that you see the same potential as I do when looking at this game. Thanks for listening, and don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions.